Welcome to Therapy in the Great Outdoors, the podcast where we explore the business and practice of nature-based pediatric therapy of all kinds. If you're an outdoor-loving pediatric practitioner in the fields of occupational, physical, or speech therapy, social work, or mental health, this podcast will help you start and grow a successful nature-based practice or program. I am the ever honest, always 100% real, you'll hear it all on this podcast, Dr. Laura Park Figueroa. I'm a pediatric OT with over 20 years of experience, and I run a thriving nature-based practice with profitable locations in 2 different states and multi-six figures in revenue. I also host the free online community at therapyinthegreatoutdoors.com to help you pursue your nature-based therapy dreams too. Are you ready to take action on those dreams? Let's jump in. Hi, welcome back to Therapy in the Great Outdoors. This is going to be a share from the heart kind of episode about some lessons I've been learning in my businesses and in life lately that I thought would encourage you if you are thinking about nature-based practice or if you are running nature-based practice right now. So let's dive right in. So my life is crazy right now. I've joked to some friends that my extended family is like a Jerry Springer show. Like I say that jokingly because you have to laugh or you'd cry your eyes out. I won't get into everything going on, but I am very thankful that my children and my husband and our dog are a relatively like safe space for me right now. Like my immediate family is fine, but there is just so much really hard stuff going on in my extended family, and it impacts me in ways that I think I'm not even fully psychologically cognizant of. And it has made me really overwhelmed. Like I feel very overwhelmed with work and very overwhelmed with my businesses because I think underlying like psychologically, I feel the weight of all of the things going on around me, right? So things feel kind of impossible. And at the gym that I go to, there's this big sign above the door when you leave that says, just keep showing up. And I love that sign. It has actually gotten me to the gym multiple times when I have not felt like going, but I just tell myself, if I get there, I don't have to be intense about the workout. I can just do a little bit, or I can just do as much as I feel like doing. And so that idea of just keep showing up is actually really helpful to me and has made me start to reflect a lot about how we limit ourselves in our dreams and in our businesses and in our lives with our own thinking and our own messages that we carry really from when we were very little and very young probably in our lives. So as pediatric therapists, you all know this, right? We know this for our clients, but I think a lot of times we forget this when we go through hard things, that the messages and the way that we respond to things or the things that we're telling ourselves about ourselves in our minds really are hard to break. They're mindset challenges that are really hard to break out of and hard to break those lies that we tell ourselves. A lot of times they are just lies that were kind of anchored in us in childhood. And so I just want to use this episode to encourage you to break out of those kind of lies. So that's why I titled this, Get Over Yourself and Just Show Up. So I want to talk a little bit about why I called it that, this episode that, and also what that means for me right now. So as I was saying, it's easy to believe these lies that we tell ourselves. And I think when we are having really down times in our businesses, these are usually times when we're very unmotivated to get anything done. I'm having a very hard time working lately, really for more than a few hours a day, honestly. I'm doing all the things to stay healthy, like getting out with the dog and going to the gym and eating relatively healthy food. There may have been some more sweets and dark chocolate consumed over the last month than I would like to admit on a podcast, but there it is. Okay. So I've been coping in secret ways eating sugar, but basically I think, taking care of yourself is really important, obviously, during a time when you have very low motivation, and giving yourself grace. So I think being aware and having the awareness of the lies you tell yourself is really important, because you'll never show up for other people if you don't get over it. If you don't just get over the fact, like for me personally, it's this idea from childhood. I'm not going to get too much into my own stuff here, because this is not about me really. I'm sharing this to help you know that you're not alone if you feel unmotivated and like in your business stressed and having a hard time sometimes, because all business owners do. But for me personally, just to share kind of an example of what I mean by this, for me personally, it's that I don't matter. Like what I do doesn't matter. And this is something I've dealt with in counseling and like talked with my husband about, and like just kind of talked through with really close friends, that message is always going to be there for me because of certain things that happened when I was growing up. And so I have to remind myself constantly, and the messaging might be different for you, but I have to remind myself constantly that it really does matter that I show up, that I continue to do the podcast weekly, that I show up for my staff to support them in my business, and a lot of other things, right? So it does matter, like what my presence in the world, my purpose in my business, the things that I spend my time doing does matter. So you need to really be aware of those lies that you may be telling yourself, and remind yourself of the truth, really like hold on to truth in times like this. Because again, you'll never show up for others if you don't get over those mindset things, or at least know how to kind of fight back against them, and rest when you need to. I that fight back language sounds very exhausting, but like really you need to rest too during times like this. So the other thing I wanted to share is that when you are struggling in your work, I think it's really, really important to get human connection with the people that you serve. And one of the things that I love doing the most in my work is running the Business Hive coaching calls that we have on Tuesdays for my group coaching program for nature-based business owners, because those people are doing really meaningful work in the world. And when I spend time with them, supporting them or helping them in some small way in their business, it brings so much meaning and life to my heart. And so I think during those times of low motivation, like getting that human connection and remembering the people you serve is so important. It can be really hard because sometimes you won't feel that. Again, a lot of this is I called this get over yourself, because a lot of this is like your feelings might not be a true reflection of reality, right? Like a lot of times when we're in these low places in business and just not feeling motivated, they are not a reflection of the actual reality of how meaningful your work is, or how much it matters, or how much you're actually helping people. So even when you don't feel that impact of your work, I think it is very important to have that human connection, even just with one person, like someone on our call today for the Hive coaching call. Just at the beginning, she said, "Can I share a couple of like really meaningful things that happened?" I was like, "Yes, of course." And she just shared some really beautiful feedback that she was getting from families about her services. And it was such a great way to kick off our call. A lot of times we'll start with like weekly wins, like what's something that was a win this week for you to kick off the call on a positive note. But it was just so positive for all of us on the call, because all of us are pediatric therapists. It was so positive for all of us to hear the feedback she was getting and to be reminded of the meaningfulness of the importance of the work that we do outdoors in nature with kids. So even when you don't feel it, it does matter. Okay. And then the last thing I kind of want to share is that when I say just show up, what I mean by that is that just do one thing towards your goals. Just take one piece of action, one step towards those dreams or goals that you have for your nature-based practice or your business. It doesn't have to be all the things. In fact, it can't be all the things. It can't be all the things. You cannot do all the things. The absolute hardest thing to do as an entrepreneur is to focus on just one thing and doing that just one thing really, really well. I have learned that the hard way, and I am still learning that. If I can give you one piece of advice, listen to my semi-annoying, raspy voice because I have a sore throat today, voice in your head saying, say no. Just say no. It's okay to say no. I really want you to learn how to say no to things, good things, even great things, even amazing things that seem like the best opportunity ever, so that you can do one thing really well, whatever that one thing is that you are doing in your business, whatever you have chosen to focus your business or focus your nature-based practice on. Learn how to do that one thing really, really well before you move on to other things. You guys, we've reached a momentous occasion in my life because my dog, who is a little over, I think he's almost a year and a half old, is actually in the room with me while I'm recording this podcast. And he is just sleeping and being peaceful and quiet. This is like a momentous occasion. I just thought you guys would like to share that beautiful moment with me of the cute sleeping dog that you really can't see. But anyway, okay. So when I am thinking about this idea of doing only one thing or focusing, I know when your business gets bigger, you are going to naturally be doing multiple things, right? But when you're starting out, you really need to focus on one. But when your business gets bigger, you still need to know what the right things to focus on and how to move the business forward towards maybe multiple different goals in multiple different areas of the business that need work. So I'm learning this lesson. I am working with a business strategist right now, and one of the questions she asked me at the very beginning of our work together was, what do you want to be known for? What is the thing you want to be known for? And I immediately, just off the top of my head, was like, I want to be known as a nature-based business coach. Like, for anyone who's running a nature-based business where you work with children, I want to be the name that everyone thinks of, like, Laura can help you do that. Because I know I can help people do that. But it is right now only a small piece of my business. In fact, it's the smallest piece of the work that I do, really. I am honestly not sure that this is a big enough niche to have as a business coach / strategist / program, whatever. It's still not really a profitable business because I am doing too many things to focus on just being that role or just having that be the only role that I do, right? Having that be the only thing that I do in the business as a nature-based business coach. So all this reflecting and all the tumultuous stuff going on in my life right now and in my businesses, like I feel like I may have to winnow down in the next year. I may have to scale down. And I'm not sure yet what I want to give up because it's all good stuff, right? My practice is great. I have a location of the business now in Madison, which definitely complicated the business, my practice, significantly. So I just joked the other day, like, I'm not sure I would have started the location in Madison had I known how many headaches it would be. It's mostly not with staff. The staff are wonderful, but it's this frustration of having like 2 different workers' comp policies, 2 different, insurance departments, 2 different like businesses to run with tax laws in 2 different states, but under one business name. And it's very, very complex. Like, it makes me realize, like, I have no idea how businesses like Amazon exist. The complexity of how they have to run systems is like, crazy. So, but it has been a good learning experience for me to start a second branch of the practice in a completely different location, completely different socioeconomic kind of environment, completely different culture here. Like, so it's good for me. It's been really good for me as a business coach to have that experience. And also it has greatly complicated my life as the business owner of the practice. So anyways, I am not sure what I want to give up, but it will be based on what people, you, like the people who are listening to this podcast, what you want. Okay. So for example, I just recently was sharing that I was going to do a Contigo retreat. So Contigo is my nature-based therapy certification and mentoring program that I've been running for several years now. And for lots of years, people who are in the in the Contigo program have told me that they want a retreat. They want like an annual retreat. And so I wanted to do that. And I had some money left over from during COVID. I had a retreat center booked to do some retreats, and then I let them keep the money because I just felt horrible asking for a refund during COVID. So they kept my, like, I think it was almost $4,000. They kept it. And then I circled back to them this year and said, hey, I have money on file, quote unquote. I'm sure they had to use it, but I know now they're honoring, if people had money that they didn't ask for a refund back then. So I asked them, could I book retreats in 2020, a retreat in 2024? And they said, yes, absolutely. And so I had this retreat center booked, and I attempted to launch a Contigo retreat for people who had already taken the online program, but just to gather together. And I was going to hire all these experts, and it was getting to be like, one, super expensive because I was going to hire people to teach, right? Which was going to be upwards of like $7,000, I think. And then the retreat center itself was, I don't even remember what it's going to be. I think it was like 20 grand or something. So it just got to be very cost prohibitive to do it. And at the same time, I only had a few people sign up before the early registration deadline. So I ran early registration for about a month. I only had a few people sign up. And so I was just not confident that we were going to get the 20 people we needed to cover all the costs that I was looking at accruing. And so I had to cancel the Contigo retreat, which made me feel really failure-y, it was a fail learn. You guys know I like the word fail learn because we learn from every failure that we have. What I learned from that was that if you're going to launch something, you need to have a bigger number of people than probably 130 people, like what I had for the Contigo trained therapists. There's only 130 of them. So it would require like 20% of the people to come for us to have the retreat full. So I knew it was a long shot, but still I wanted to give it a shot. And it really wasn't a failure. I was talking to a good friend of mine about it, and she was like, what if you looked at this as like a godsend? Like maybe it's going to allow you to focus on something you want to do more, or maybe it's going to open up space for you to do something else for the retreat. And I was like, yeah, I think I should do a nature-based business retreat. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to run a nature-based business retreat for nature-based business owners in November. November 7th to 10th, the same time that I was going to do the Contigo retreat that there wasn't much interest in. So if you're interested in that, we have 18 spots, and you can go to therapyinthegreatoutdoors.com/retreat and find all the info there. I will keep registration open until the end of August or when we fill the 18 people. I may be able to do commuter spots too, but yeah. So if we enrolled at 18, it could be that we could still have a few more people come, but they would be commuters and have to find offsite lodging. So anyway, that is up there for you to see if you are running a nature-based business, or it is for people who are running a nature-based business. It's not if you have not started yet, this is not the retreat for you. Although a Start Your Nature-Based Business retreat might be fun for me to offer in the future. But again, I'm going to focus. This whole episode was about learning to focus. Well, not the whole thing, but most of it. I'm clearly unfocused right now, y'all. I need to go grab my dinner that's in the oven. This is a longer episode than I meant to do. My point is, if you're interested in the nature-based business retreat, you can go to therapyinthegreatoutdoors.com/retreat and find the info there. I'm also opening the Contigo Nature-Based Therapy Certification and Mentoring Program in a few weeks. It will be open from April 22nd until the end of the month for a May cohort. And you can find all the info for that at contigoapproach.com. So these are two things I'm focusing on. This was a little bit of a life and business update from Laura, but I thought that was a kind of boring title. So get over yourself and just show up. Just remember, you can do this, okay? I promise you, anyone that shows up to do the work can run a nature-based practice. You can do this. So I want to encourage you to get over all those like things you tell yourself and just show up and take a step towards the dream. So that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Wait a second. Don't go yet. Do you want 120 ways that you can take your pediatric therapy work outdoors into nature? I wrote the free, big, huge list of nature-based therapy activities just for you. The Big Huge List will give you quick ideas for nature-based sessions. In the Big Huge List, there are activities for gross motor, fine motor, visual perceptual, executive function, balance, group collaboration and team building, social, emotional, and self-regulation skills, as well as speech and language, and a whole section just for swing activities. So go on and get your free Big Huge List so you can get started taking kids outdoors or have some new ideas if you've been doing this a while. You can download your free copy at therapyinthegreatoutdoors.com/list. So until next time, get outside, connect, reflect, and enjoy therapy in the great outdoors.